Would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
I'm the Prince of Valacia. Some call me the Dark One. Others, the Lord of Death. However, to most, I am known simply as
Renfield's boss.
Hey, I'm Derek,
And I'm Noah, and you're listening to A Bite Of.
where we take our current favorite pop culture obsession and enjoy it one nibble at a time.
Yum.
One bloodthirsty nibble.
It is Vampire Week at A Bite Of.
Shing! Those are my teeth coming out.
Okay.
Not my adamantium claws.
Steaks?
Am I fighting the vampire or am I a vampire?
Ooh. I like vampire hunters just a little better.
I'd probably be a familiar, unfortunately.
Yeah. I didn't want to say it.
I am Guillermo.
Oh, yeah.
Gizmo.
So, if it wasn't clear, you clicked on the episode. We are reviewing and talking about all things Renfield, the newest dark horror comedy with vampires. Because, they make them every so often.
Well, this one's interesting because there's only one vampire. Usually we have a whole group of, bloodsuckers.
Yeah,
This
just
is-
one.
Just the one, the famous,
Nicolas Cage is enough, though.
the famous vampire, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, you only need one if it's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. What if it was like Nicolas Cage, Keanu Reeves, and
No.
like one other person that like talks in that sort of same cadence?
Too much. Bradley Cooper?
Hmm.
He has a weird way of talking.
Yeah. There you go.
Jared Leto, too. Just for flavor.
Well, he also was, right? He was
Yeah.
Morbius.
Morbius. Professor Morbius.
Dr. Professor Morbius.
All right, before we get into obviously what's going to be an exciting episode about vampires and everything that has to do with them. That was weird. I'll cut that out.
Leave it.
Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anything that is social media. A Bite of Pod. Also, leave a review. Subscribe to this podcast because that makes us happy. And we need validation because we're human.
Make us feel good.
Yeah. Leave us some stars. Leave us a review. It's always nice.
Yeah.
Last but not least, Patreon. Do you like the show? Want to support the show? $1 a month. That's it. Makes us happy. Bonus content, exclusive stuff, free stuff. We send out packages every now and then with all of our stuff for free.
Where we're just like, hey, we love you so much. Have this thing.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget about the Discord.
Yeah, Discord. We have a Discord.
Talk with your ABO community.
Abo.
ABO.
I see. I always use it as an acronym, but saying it out loud, it really sounds dumb.
It does. You're right. I do. I type it all the time. But Abu. Ababa. Nope.
But yeah, you can find all those links down below in the show notes.
All right. Should we get into a little synopsis?
Yeah, tell me what Renfield is about through the eyes of Derek.
Here we go. Only the important things.
Show tune.
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Having served centuries. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
It's Schmigadoon. Schmacula. Having served centuries as Dracula's familiar, Renfield joins a group for those in codependent relationships, not only for his mental health, but to find his master's next meal. After Renfield chomps on a bug or two to power up, he is interrupted in bagging Dracula's lunch by a hitman and finds himself entangled in New Orleans' biggest crime family's drug ring. Renfield pairs up with Rebecca Quincy to not only bring down the Lobo family, but to ultimately gain his independence from his demanding and bloodthirsty master.
Wow. That's it.
Woohoo.
Spoiler alert ahead. All things Renfield will be spoiled and splattered all over the place.
So much splattering. Well, then let us officially take a very messy bite
Ooh.
of Renfield.
Okay. This movie was fun.
Totally.
I feel like we really we were playing with fate with these last 2 reviews that we were doing. We did Ghosted. You know how we feel about that. It's fine. It's a movie.
That
it
exists.
Happens.
Yeah.
This one, you cast Nicolas Cage as Dracula. It's either going to be the best thing ever or completely not used correctly. It was just wasted. I feel like it's the former. It's great. Anytime Nicolas Cage is on here, we'll get more into that. But this movie was fine. I thought I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Ghosted.
Oh, they had me at hello because the runtime is a nice, crisp 90-something minutes.
And that's exactly what I said Ghosted should have been.
Yes, let us celebrate the beauty of the hour-and-a-half movie.
Yeah.
You know what
great.
could have been an hour and a half? Ghosted.
Yeah. All right, enough of Ghosted. Let's
I feel
ghost
like,
it.
Okay, fine. I just want to say that even though this was not a romantic action comedy, I feel like it did the romantic action comedy better than Ghosted did.
It did. I have feelings about that, but it did. It really did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this set out to just be a dark comedy with horror elements. I think they did a fantastic job at doing that.
Yeah, they absolutely nailed it. I think that it had all those elements that we were looking for, right? We were looking for some really gruesome action scenes. We were looking for some good special effect makeup, good acting. I mean, it really hit all the things. I mean, there was a lot of action throughout it, wasn't there? There was a lot of intense fight scenes.
Yeah, the action was great. I feel like with a movie that, even from the trailer, there's a lot of blood. There was a lot of blood in this. It was CGI, but so much blood. I mean, it verged on almost having that, like, it needed to have like a superhero feel almost because that's what's running the industry right now. So anytime, Renfield would eat a bug, he would get like powers from Dracula and he'd be super strong. He could literally rip people's arms off and impale them with their own arms.
Yeah.
It was entertaining as hell to watch. It was a lot.
It was a lot. Now, I am a total squeamish person. I do not like things like this. I enjoyed it, but I did a lot of that sort of pulling away from the screen, closing my eyes, not wanting to watch, making like sort of nauseous noises.
Yeah.
So yeah, when he pulled the arms off and used them to impale someone else, I mean, he also used like a serving tray at a restaurant that cut someone in half. There is that part where, what did he do? Punch someone so hard that he pooped his pants or something?
Oh, yeah. So one of the antagonists of it, Ben Schwartz.
John Ralphio,
which literally just was John Ralphio with more tattoos.
Yeah.
And was in a crime family. He punches him in the stomach so hard that he explodes from the mouth and the butt at the same time, which was funny. Like it was a very much Mortal Kombat fatality.
Absolutely.
With seeing the X-ray, but yeah, it was fun.
And you know what? I was glad that came at the end because that was definitely one of like the ultimate crescendo moments. So we led up to the arms being used as knives to someone getting punched so hard they exploded from both ends.
Yeah. The action was good. The story. Let's talk about the story here. I feel like this is me, y'all, and Derek can, correct me if I'm wrong.
He said y'all.
But I feel like it was 2 movies smashed into one because the beginning part and everything with Nicolas Cage as Dracula and the relationship, the codependency, the toxic relationship that he had with Dracula, that's what I thought this movie was going to 100% be. And it kind of wasn't. And it didn't ruin the movie for me, but I just wanted more of that first part. I don't feel like we needed this crime family or even Awkwafina's character. I liked her, but they almost seemed like 2 movies that they kind of just mashed into one. Like you could have had Awkwafina trying to take down the Lobos to avenge her family and still had like an action comedy. And then you could have had Renfield with this relationship with Dracula.
Yeah, I'm going to take it a step further.
Ooh.
And say that it was like 2.5 movies in one movie.
Okay.
So there was the Dracula familiar thing. There was the crime family thing. But they also tried to do a little bit of a romance plot between Renfield and Awkwafina's character, Quincy.
Yeah, I didn't mind that part because he was seeing what he's been missing out on, right?
Mhm.
And so it's driving his wanting to be better, getting out of this toxic relationship. I guess you kind of needed that, and it just so happened that like Awkwafina's character needed like the reason to be there. I don't know if that was the right reason. I don't know. It just feels weird.
I think what I'm trying to figure out is, right, they each had the thing the other one didn't have in a way. Like she had the independence, she had the grit to kind of carve her own path, but he had the magic powers to do it.
That's it.
Yeah, it's like where does it come together? And I think that there definitely also was an imbalance. I actually feel like it favored the Awkwafina plot more than it did Renfield's plot with Dracula.
Yeah. Well, it's like the first half, right? It felt like a different thing.
Mm.
And then when the whole corrupted cops and everything else came in, it was like, oh, okay. Weird.
Yeah, like I almost feel like we didn't necessarily need her familial motivation in the sense that her mom and dad were like, her dad was killed in front of the mom and he was murdered by these people. It was like she could have just been doing it because she was a good cop.
Yeah, it seemed like they were checking a lot of boxes for this. It was like, corrupted cops, check. Crime family, check. Cop that wants to do better, but also is like the son or daughter of somebody that was a great person that also was killed. And then you have like the vampire box, Dracula, check. Great action scenes, check. And so it's like they were checking a lot of boxes that were fun, but I'm not sure were completely needed. But it's a fun movie. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want it to seem like I'm like, this is ruining it.
Well,
right?
no. And that's the thing is that I agree with you. But as I'm looking at it, like I enjoyed watching it. I felt like I wasn't picking apart while I was watching it, being like, oh, well, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I feel like after the fact, looking at it as a review purpose, it's like, yeah, did all these puzzle feces. Oh my gosh, puzzle feces.
Wow.
It's poop. Did they
We
all
know what you really think of the movie.
for poops? Did it, I don't know, did they all fit together perfectly? Not so much. It was more of a kid kind of slamming pieces together, being like, yeah, it works, but
yeah,
not so much.
Chris McKay, the director of this, they wanted, it seemed like there was great horror elements in here without it being horror. Like his blood pouch throne.
I did not like that.
I loved it.
Creatively amazing.
Oh,
as a viewer,
so good.
Yeah.
It was just an amazing visual. The visuals in this were great when he turned into like the smoke thing and then exploded that priest. It had elements of horror without it, trying to really be scary. It was great. I thought it looked menacing, especially Nicolas Cage. But this is where you can tell Robert Kirkman, yes, that Robert Kirkman that did The Walking Dead and Invincible. It has that, like, it's this thing, but it's also these other things in it. And he does a good job. He's the one that did the script for this. He does a good job of trying to, it's like a vampire movie. No, it's about his familiar, but with Dracula in it, which is like almost a direct sequel from the original Dracula, but it works. It's interesting when we get stories like this. And I think those are the original ones we need with all these monsters, these original OG monsters that we have.
I almost wonder if Dracula were in it more, would it have taken it away from Renfield's journey?
Maybe.
I mean, it does seem silly to have Nicolas Cage in this movie and not have Nicolas Cage like fully throughout the entire thing.
That was the most disappointing part. Me, somebody that is not a Nicolas Cage fan.
I'm surprised. I'm flabbergasted. I am just I gape at this news.
If this is the first time you're hearing this and the however long we've done this, I'm not a Nicolas Cage fan. He's not a draw for me, but I loved him in this role. This is like the first movie where I'm like, I love Nicolas Cage, ?
I want Noah to watch Moonstruck so badly for young Nicolas Cage and his one hand storyline.
I've seen parts of it.
You need to see the whole thing.
I'll watch it.
I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah. But it is surprising that he wasn't in it as much as you would assume that he would be in it.
Maybe, I mean, as far as the character is concerned, we see him in the beginning and he basically gets almost burned to ash. So he is spending most of the movie healing. But at the same time, it's like, well, we still could have seen him more. I mean, a lot of his scenes were really him being like, Renfield, get me a cheerleader, like not actually doing Dracula type things, more just being like a demanding master sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting whenever they take this OG father of monsters and put a spin on this a little bit. I mean, we get some of this stuff in media nowadays where they put a spin on a thing that we've known forever, like What We Do in the Shadows. It's fantastic. It's amazing. They put a bunch of different creatures in that, but it was that level almost of like that camp.
Yes.
But also making sure it reminds you that like, no, they're still a monster. Like they will eat people.
Yeah. And again, I think that's where we were sort of straddling the two different worlds here of the camp world versus the horror world versus the police thriller world.
Yeah. See, and it's that like police element, that like crime element that is almost like if I'm eating a sandwich, it's like, oh, I'm going to take the horseradish out. Like it adds to it, but it's like not my favorite thing.
Sure. It's burning for some reason. Again, it was enjoyable to watch, but like when you're looking at him, like, why did we spend so much time in the precinct without Renfield or Dracula there? Yeah.
And it's where the posters are almost a little misleading because most of them are just of Dracula and Renfield.
Mm.
Where was Awkwafina in the poster? So it's like, I don't know. It's interesting when they kind of mash these movies like that. I do feel like it is very much enjoyable. And the cast is amazing.
Huh?
The cast, all phenomenal actors. Nicholas Hoult, I feel like in recent years is becoming one of my, Nicholas Hoult is in this. I'm going to watch this.
Mm.
He's great. And I don't think he's really done a bad role in a while. He plays like awful characters sometimes, but
yeah, this was, what's funny about this is that, of course, one of the things we've watched most recently that he's in is The Great, and he's horrendous in that.
And The Menu.
And, The Menu. That was annoying, that character. But before that, this sort of reminded me of Warm Bodies a little bit, where he's this otherworldly character who's trying to find his humanity. Pale. Is British, isn't British sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we don't bring up the accent.
But
he was young.
He was young, and he was playing a zombie, so that might have contributed to it. But I thought that he was great in this. And I mean, I'm also one of those people that when Awkwafina's in something, I get excited. She just brings that Awkwafina brand of Awkwafina.
She really, most of the roles I've seen her in, she is Nora from Queens, which I like. That's Awkwafina's brand. I like that a lot. The Farewell is like one of the first times where I was like, oh shit, she can really act. So like seeing that and then seeing this, I'm like, I like her.
Yeah,
she can do it all.
I think that's a part of it, though, is personally, The Farewell holds a little special place in my heart because that was the first movie that we saw together in theaters. How about that? But I mean, I think Awkwafina, though, she knows her brand. She knows that she's the comedy. She knows that she's there for the laughs, to be loud and brash. And I'm here for her to deliver that package. When it's nice to see her in The Farewell and see her sort of flex her other acting chops. But in this, it's like, this is what we're here for. And it was kind of cool to see her kicking some ass, too.
That was a lot of fun. I liked the scene where they were when she was at his apartment and they had to get away from everybody. And they were both fighting. He was doing a little more of the blood stuff, but she was kicking some ass. I think that Marvel training really carried over to
definitely. And I feel like she got to fight in this way more than she did in Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, she a lot of times was just sort of like hanging.
She was around.
Things.
She was the best friend. I mean, at the end, she became a great archer, and she was who she was.
Very true. Very true.
But she's good at shooting, which She did.
She definitely kicked some butt in this, and it was cool to see her do some more stunt work. That fight scene of them together in the apartment complex was one of the best ones, for sure.
The comedy was pretty great. There was a couple moments where audibly laughed out loud. I think the one that really sticks out to my mind is when Ben Schwartz is running away from Awkwafina and the cop when they first interact and meet, and he throws the thing of cocaine at the guy. It explodes on his face. and doesn't have a normal reaction. He just says, cocaine. I'm like, what?
I also, I did enjoy when Nicholas Hoult was Renfield was really reinventing himself. He went to Old Navy and Macy's to get the wardrobe of his dreams that he's been waiting for.
You know, that's the slogan, is when you want to reinvent your life, you come to us.
You come to us. Affordable clothing, Old Navy.
Yeah.
Did he open up a Gap card, though, or an Old Navy card? They get you.
I don't think he has a social security
You're
number.
probably right. He has no credit. How is he going to live after this? I don't understand.
How is he getting money at all at this point?
Yeah, I mean, because that's the whole thing, right? Is that they're not doing as financially well as they used to, because basically they've been around the world and have sucked everything dry every place they've gone to become fugitives.
Well, he's not Dracula where he should be. I also like the dilapidated building that he has Dracula in. He's not even worrying about just getting rid of the bodies. They're just festering and piling up down there.
They found a basement in an old abandoned hospital. Done and done. Let them sit there.
Oh, geez. So, okay, as far as vampires go, we've gotten a lot of different types of vampires. Same thing with zombies. We got a lot of different types of zombies and stuff. Is there one, like, how do you prefer your vampires in media? Do you prefer them like What We Do in the Shadows, Renfield, or Interview with the Vampire, Underworld, Blade? There's so many different Twilight. Like,
oh, Twilight #1.
I mean, that biased. That holds a special place in our heart. Listen to episode 1 through 6.
Sparkling in the sunlight. Is there any other way to be a vampire?
Yeah, bursting into flames.
Well, right. I was really reflecting on that because I was thinking about sort of like your typical attributes of a vampire. And I was thinking, like, why was that a decision that she made? Not to get into a Twilight discussion.
Oh.
But did it make him sexy at all? No, it just kind of meant that they could go out on dates in the daytime, which they never did anyway.
There you go. That's it.
Sexy?
I honestly, it's the skin of a killer.
Bella.
That's the only explanation we ever get. And it is my least favorite one. I kind of don't like it when vampires can go out in the sun. Like, it's fine, I guess, for a story purpose. Like, they got, some werewolf blood in them and they're able to kind of be out there for a little bit.
Sure.
That's fine as like a plot device thing. But I like the very OG needs blood, stake in the heart, garlic hurts them, crucifix hurt them, and suns will make them explode. Like,
yeah.
That's what I like. The Twilight stuff is like verging on like, it's just supernatural, but they happen to eat people.
I do feel like Twilight can exist in its own little category of whatever, teenage wonderdom. But when we're looking at like actual depictions of vampires, I'm always looking out for those little clues. And one of those things that I always enjoy with a vampire is that you can't see them in a mirror.
Oh.
So there was one scene in this where like I wasn't sure if it was happening on purpose or not, but Dracula, and of course you have to be invited in.
Yes.
Right? That's a big thing.
That's always fun.
So Dracula is in Renfield's new apartment and he's like kind of like backing him into a corner. And there's a small square mirror on the back wall. And I was like, there wasn't a reflection in it, but yet it wasn't big enough that it would be like, oh, they're trying to make the point that you can't see his reflection. But like, I love those creepy things. Like whenever a vampire walks past a mirror and you don't see the reflection, I'm like, whoa.
Fright Night, that the inviting in plays a big role in that movie. And I love the reason why I love those like cliche or like, what do you even call them? Characteristics of a vampire,
Sure.
I guess. Is because when they have them and they can play into those and it like amps up the story a little bit, that's the payoff is just so good. It's so good. Like whenever they invited, I'm gonna put these names together. Cage-ula. But Cage, whenever he got invited into the support group, I was like, oh, you invited him in, but it lets you know that, okay,
right.
he can come in.
And you all, it's your clutch your pearls moment of being like, no, they invited him in. It's going to be bad.
Yeah. But so like, how do you prefer your vampires? Like, is it more the Anne Rice thing? Is it more
the
action-y
Anne Rice
Blade?
They're a little too fancy for me, the Anne Rice. and rice vampires.
Did you see Kirsten Dunst when she was bloodthirsty? She was not fancy.
I remember that baby almost killing her.
Yeah.
Renesmee, explain yourself. You almost killed your mom. But yeah, they were very fancy, but they were like, weren't they also French? I don't know.
They were everything.
I think I can't speak this evening. I apologize. I prefer my vampire. I do enjoy.
Oh my God.
I would say that
Stop.
if I had to choose, then it's like What We Do in the Shadows.
No.
It's like, yes.
Oh, that's your answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're still sort of caught in their time. They wear the great garments of yore.
So you like the camp?
Yeah, I like the camp, but I also like that they have powers, right? So whether it's being able to glamour people or change into a bat, like they do have those things that you would attribute to a vampire.
I'm very much more in the Anne Rice and Blade camp.
Fancy leather.
Yes. The Anne Rice. I shouldn't even just say Anne Rice. The Interview with the Vampire. I love just that whole aesthetic. Like that's the thing that really cemented vampires into like, because Dracula and everything and all the movies before was like, how is he able to like seduce these people and what's the appeal to him? That's the thing that made them that way. Like that's almost like the blueprint for like why Twilight is sexy. And
Sure.
I put it in quotes. It's like you have to be a certain way. I just love it. Like the story's cool. I love the long extended periods. Like how do they survive? How do they withstand like the changing of times and reinvent themselves? I love that stuff. And then I also like Blade, where it's just like chop everybody up and you have fangs
with big swords. Stuff.
And I'm so excited for actual MCU Blade. It's going to be so good. I want more horror Marvel monsters. We got a werewolf. We got vampires.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I was thinking of Werewolf by Night when we were watching this. There was something about it. I think the way the eyes, they zoomed in on the eyes a lot.
Classic.
Right? It was like so classic. But yeah, that like horror genre. Yeah, I really liked Werewolf by Night, that style that they did it in. I mean, Blade is going to be totally different, but I like Marvel bringing back these horror tropes into the MCU.
The supernatural.
We haven't had one of those special Marvel like presents things since Christmas.
No, yeah,
right? Because they did Werewolf by Night, then they did the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Spectacular,
and that's it.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's really any other ones planned. Let us know if you know. Do we have any insiders listening to us? Can you get us a screener for that?
Marvel Insiders,
whatever it is. But yeah, I like those types of vampires, but also I think vampires and kind of werewolf, like the OG monsters are always a staple. Like people are going to watch them no matter what. Like they could be bad, but like people are still going to watch them. There's how many Underworld movies? They're not all great. But Kate Beckinsale really sold that.
She sure did. She said, "I'm riding this money train. Let's go." So my question is, if they made Renfield 2 back in action, would you see it?
They could call it Higher Stakes.
Oh my gosh, write them, tweet them, let them know.
Twice bitten.
Like he and Awkwafina now go around the world trying to free familiars from their codependent relationships with their...
No, they need that counselor, the guy that was running the group. I want Renfield and him.
I love him. Brandon Scott Jones, Mark in the movie. But
I want them to do it. Awkwafina can come.
She's got to go. She got guns.
She got to go.
She's got to go. There's now a secret organized subset of the New Orleans Police Department.
I don't know. Like, okay, this might sound terrible. Okay. I don't know if it'll sound terrible. Let me just say it.
And then I'll be the judge.
Yeah.
Let me see.
There was a part in the movie where like, I thought where the movie was going, like we said earlier, I thought it was going to be him kind of realizing maybe he's not doing the right thing, but like trying to find victims. I actually really liked the idea of him going after the abusers of people in the group. I wanted more of that. So like part of me was like hoping like, oh, is he just going to like, is he going to get
save
caught
people
or something?
From their bad relationships, basically?
And not dealing with his own, which kind of does happen. But then like, I'm glad they all survived in the end by getting Dracula blood and when they, he got murdered by all
I
of
don't
them?
know how they survived, to be completely honest. They got eaten like 2 days beforehand, and then they brought them back. I guess Dracula blood is that powerful.
Yeah.
Fine.
It can bring you back to life.
There's always that one thing. I'm like, yeah, a movie about a vampire and a guy that eats bugs to get vampire powers. And I'm like, but did they really survive?
Yeah. They did, apparently.
All right.
And he just left the Dracula blood there, and everybody was cool with it.
That I got very nervous about as well, because I thought that something was going to happen, like it was going to start moving or it was going to fall or something.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. A second movie I would like.
Okay.
I
But
would
you and
watch
I
it.
have two very different ideas of what Renfield Higher Stakes should be about. Renfield 2 Higher Stakes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
Coughin' it up.
I don't...
COFFIN.
Out of the shadows.
Out of the shadows. Into the light.
That's a third one.
Yes. Oh my God, the franchise just keeps growing.
And then it's Renfield and Awkwafina go to Vegas.
Yes, why not? Oh, what are those vampires like? Oh, they love the slots.
I would like to see more vampires. Like, if there was a sequel, I want to see more vampires, because I don't think it was exactly clear that there was more. Like, it's just Renfield and him. But by the end of it, I guess he gave all these people the ability to just eat bugs and get powers. So it's like, how does that work? Like, are those considered, like, would those be considered vampires if he's literally the only vampire to exist? Like, just in lore, like, if people to hear about it. I don't know. I'm curious.
I don't know either.
I want to expand that lore. That's what I want.
Yeah,
Higher stakes, more lore.
I agree. I think they need to expand the universe, Renfield's universe. He's just been living in the shadow of his master for so long. We got to see him experience the world.
Yeah.
That trio.
So, to wrap this up, highly enjoyable, bloody fun, some weird choices, but I recommend. It's more enjoyable than Ghosted, which is my bar for this year.
I was just gonna say, Ghosted is now our lowest point. Every movie we'll see from now on will be compared to Ghosted.
Does not matter the genre.
No.
It's just Ghosted is always at the
Full
bottom.
on period drama will be compared to Ghosted.
by documentaries compared to Ghosted.
Exactly. Just like hard news compared to Ghosted. Anything will be compared to Ghosted.
But if I had to rate this, 1, I say take a bite. It's enjoyable. It's a snack. You can have it on. Maybe not rewatch it, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I give it like 3.5.
It's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay, 3.5.
3.5, baby.
It's like verging on 4. Like, I feel like
Sure.
if there was more Nicolas Cage as Dracula, it'd be a solid 4
Also, I think, I just want to say that.
out of 5.
Yeah. Oh, good point. I do think Nicolas Cage's fake teeth was doing a lot of the work as for the Dracula voice.
Yeah.
It was
It's
very
fine.
much like muffled because I got a lot of stuff in my mouth.
There was one scene where I feel like it was really heavy, but like I could still understand him.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm fine.
Because
I could tell those are fake, but I'm fine.
Because figure it's Nicolas Cage who has a very distinct voice, trying to do a Dracula voice like this, but also having a mouth full of stuff like this.
It didn't sound like Grandpa Dracula.
I am a Dracula, sort of thing. Watch it again. Listen back. It sounds very familiar to what I just did. Very, very similar.
No.
It's me, Nicolas Cage. I'm a Dracula.
I am glad though he didn't like go real into like the accent, like harder. Because I feel like with how he talks and then doing that even more, I probably would not have understood.
Mama would
him.
have been a different language.
Yeah. And with the teeth.
Subtitles. Subtitles.
That would be hilarious if anytime he talked, subtitles were just.
I mean, that could have been a funny comedic visual cue to happen every time, for sure.
All right. So 3.5 out of 5. We would recommend taking a nibble, taking a bite. So
But
Renfield.
I will say, if you're squeamish, don't feel any shame in closing your eyes.
Guys, this is why we can't talk about Evil Dead Rise.
Mama, I'm not watching. I am not watching it.
Anybody want to watch it with me?
Hop on the old
Discord
and watch it together. I will be in the other room for anybody who wants to watch a light comedy.
All right. Till next week.
Bye. Thanks for listening to A Bite of. Artwork and editing by our own Noah. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at A Bite of Pod, and on Facebook at A Bite of. If you have any questions, recommendations, or just want to say hi, you can contact us on abiteofpod.com. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to spread the word. See you next time on A Bite of. Bye.